Hey there, welcome to The Thoughtful Husband. I'm here to tell you about pursuers. Just a reminder from the previous video, pursuers are the one who feel the emotional need, they feel the lack. And they tend to feel like they're not a priority, they're not loved, they don't feel secure, they don't feel like they're going to be heard. And the more this happens, the more vulnerable they feel and the more desperate they become. It's part of why they do all of this. It's part of why they do all of it. Now, I'm here to teach you how to stop doing this. How to stop. First thing maybe we should cover is these don't work. That should be reason enough to stop. They don't work. At most, you're going to get a momentary benefit where somebody might hear you or might do what you want them to do. But in the end, it destroys the relationship. It causes this person over here to distance. It causes them to withdraw. So at the very least, try not doing these, right? I know that's not very helpful. I'm here to tell you what you can do instead. One of the things you can do is you can love first. A lot of pursuers who haven't had their needs met in the relationship for quite a while, they dig their heels in, they stop being romantic, they stop making love, they stop going on dates, they stop being pleasant, they stop doing a lot of these things. And I'm here to tell you that it's a lot easier for somebody to love you when you love them first. I know that puts you in a vulnerable position, maybe even to get taken advantage of, but this is the formula. You love somebody first, they're more likely to love you. You withhold the love or stop loving, stop caring, the other person has every incentive to not love you back or to not care. Second thing, be pleasant. I know this sounds maybe even pejorative. I know this may even sound a little condescending, but being pleasant, emoting a sense of attractiveness and pleasantness really helps. A lot of these tend to be very unpleasant. I'm angry, demanding, fearful, just having a very hard time, and I'm going to let you know it. And simply by being pleasant, people will want to be around you more. They'll want to hear what you have to say, right? And I know I'm talking to mostly you ladies. Once again, the pursuers are typically about 75% of them are ladies because they tend to have more emotional needs that need to be met within the context of the relationship, where guys can go out and they can work a job and they can do things and they can be really simple. They can sit on a couch and watch football all day and not need anything from their wife. Maybe even prefer that their wife not even be there, right? Guys are simpler creatures typically. So ladies, you're the ones that I'm mostly talking to here. You're the ones that are most likely to be pursuers in the relationship more often and more of the time. The second thing is to be respectful. Remember, one of the core needs that isn't being met that makes this person over here distance is a lack of respect. Stop treating someone like a child. Stop lecturing them. Stop pulling rank. Stop trying to be the alpha dog in the relationship and I know better for you than you know for you. Stop doing that. Be respectful. Look up to the person. Tell them about their better qualities. Cast a vision for who they could be, their potential, and encourage them to reach it. That motivates people way better than criticism, cutting people down, pointing out their flaws. Way better. Try it. Try this. Try all of these things. Fourth thing I'll say, set boundaries. Pursuers do tend to get taken advantage of at times. Possibly because they want to be loved, they do more. Sometimes they're over-functioning, especially some of you ladies in the house. You're kind of in charge, you're kind of leading it, and the other person, the guy, is just detached. Set boundaries, and that means decide what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. How does that help? That reduces the perception of vulnerability, right? If you chase and 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 don't get anything in return, that's going to make you feel weak, and it's going to really tarnish your self-respect. You're not going to like who you are, and then you might even have more reasons to hate this person over here. You might even think to yourself, man, I do not like who I am in this relationship. Well, my challenge to you, set some boundaries. Become the person that you respect. Become the person who can say no, who can do less, who can tell yourself what to do and what not to do. Become that person. That helps. Love is not something that you can earn. It's something that comes out of free will. The more you try to provoke it to happen, the worse it's going to be the outcome. Fifth thing, iMessages. These work. I know they sound cheesy, right? But a lot of the you language comes over here. The demanding, the accusing, the you're not doing something right. This is what you're doing wrong. And iMessages are just reflective. I'm assuming that they care about me. I'm upset. I'm having a hard time with this. Hey, I'm really upset with you lately because you haven't done the dishes. Just want to let you know. Hey, I'd really like some more attention. You know, I'm feeling really lonely. I'm feeling disconnected. Love that word. Works a lot of the time. Right? iMessages. Tell them how you are, and then let them make the decision to love, to pursue you back, to go on that date, to do the thing. If it comes from them, you can trust it. If you made it happen, it's like throwing your own surprise birthday party, right? Are you going to be surprised? Are you going to have a good time? Probably not. Probably not. Number 6. This is called the 2-sentence technique. I actually created this one in partial response to all of these things that tend to happen here. If you do this technique, you won't be doing this. Sounds simple, right? And I find that guys typically really respond to this. It gives them room to think. It gives them room to process. You're not overwhelming them with words. By the way, side note, it also works with kids. Because when you overtalk them, they stop listening after about 2, 3, maybe. You might be able to squeak 4 sentences in before they start formulating a response, before they start getting emotionally overwhelmed and start detaching, right? It's simple. First sentence, here's the problem that I want to address. Hopefully it's in a form of an iMessage. Second sentence, here's a request that I'm making, or here's a possible solution, right? Hey, I'm feeling really disconnected lately. Can we go on a date? Or can you take me out on a date? Drop it, right? Say your piece and then drop it. Hey, you said you were going to do the dishes and you haven't. When can I expect that you will have the dishes done by? Drop it, right? None of this is here. Do you see that? Do you hear that? And the other person gets a chance to respond. They get a chance to think and then say something. And sometimes, especially with guys, it takes us a little while to think. And if we're feeling like we're being controlled, the last thing we want to do is respond right away. And maybe say what you want us to say, or make a false promise that's going to disappoint you. 2-sentence technique. Practice it. Try it. Learn it. It's not natural. It's hard to, in a position of desperation and vulnerability, to come up with 2 sentences and then launch that out there and just hope. But it's way more effective than doing any of these. Do you get that? Plan B. Plan B is a great way to reduce vulnerability. It's kind of like a boundary. And what it is when I'm going to put myself in a position of vulnerability, when I need something from someone, let's say I want to initiate sex, right? That's my plan A. I would love for the night to go like that. Or I would love to spend just a night watching TV on the couch. I would love to take you out and have some coffee and have some conversation. What if they say no? What if they say no? If I don't have a plan B, suddenly I'm vulnerable. Suddenly that's going to really unbalance me if I don't have a plan B. I was counting on this thing happening. I need it. I don't know why they aren't doing it. Why won't they just do it? It's so simple, right? But then you're overwhelming the person. You might even be controlling them. Have a plan B. Hey, I would love to have sex with you tonight, but if you are not interested, I'm going to play video games. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go hang out with the guys. And you can even make this, shall we say, somewhat, you might not say dramatic, but you can make it evident. You go ahead and do the thing and ask for the thing. And then because your time has value and you treat your time like it has value, you go immediately and do the other thing. You say, okay, I'm going to go do this then, because your time has value. You're not just going to keep asking and asking and asking for the same thing, whatever that thing happens to be, and then getting rejected. You're going to ask, and then because your time has value, you're going to move on. If you keep asking and asking and asking and using words and doing a lot of this, you're in essence saying, I can't say no to you, my time doesn't have value, you can basically do or not do, and the only thing that's going to go wrong is that I'm going to get pissed at you. Not good communication. It's kind of one of my pet peeves about pursuers, by the way, is they bring up, we have problems with communication, and they usually think that because they're communicating, they're good communicators. I usually find that distancers communicate just fine. They just do it non-verbally. The last thing I'll say is, pursuers, be specific. When you ask for something, you need to be specific. If you're going to ask, say, your husband or someone else to go grocery shopping, give them an exact request of what you want. This is what I want, this is the brand name, this is the size. Is that a little bit laborious? Yes. And I would say, if you don't do that, don't be surprised if your husband or someone else comes back with something not quite what you were looking for. Right? Remember, you're vulnerable. So is he, but you're vulnerable. When you ask for a date night, it's okay to tell him, I want to go to this restaurant. Right? Does that sound simple? It should be simple. It's supposed to be simple. Don't say, where do you want to go? And hope he guesses the right one, and then frustrate him, and then say, well, I'd really like to go to this one thing over here. Why didn't you just lead with that? Be specific. If you want somebody to love you, give them a target of what that looks like. Paint a picture. You don't have to tell them every single thing to do, but especially early in the relationship, teach them how to love you. Otherwise, they'll do anything or nothing, and they will be perpetually frustrated because they think they're doing something, and then it's just not landing right. Do you want to frustrate into them giving up on loving you? I hope not. Be specific. Now, somebody might even counter and say, I shouldn't have to. I already told him 100 times. Or he should just figure it out, right? You know, that's baby language. That's literally baby language. That's what babies do. They cry and they ask their parents to figure out how to take care of their needs. You're not a baby. You're an adult. Adults communicate. They're specific, targeted, they say what they want, and then they can receive it with gratitude. And hey, if your guy or someone else isn't meeting your emotional needs and they're just a little off, but they're trying, at least acknowledge, hey, at least you tried. Hey, you know, it didn't quite work out, but thank you for the effort. Could you please do this instead? Once again, the two-sentence technique. You know, that wasn't the best date night. I wasn't really enjoying that much. Could we do this thing instead? I don't know if you guys can see this. But can't win. Be winnable. Be targetable. Be attractive. If you want to be loved, let them know how to love you, and then let them love you. And then when they can do that reliably, that really is going to reduce your vulnerability. That's really going to reduce your desperation, because somebody knows how to love you, and hopefully they're doing it on purpose. Just as a side note, being hurt and being desperate and being vulnerable in a relationship is not something that you should avoid. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you a pushover. It makes you human. And actually, when you look hurt, when you look sad, when you look disappointed, that's actually helpful. Especially if you're a lady trying to get a guy to love you. Guys love taking care of their wives. They love being the hero. They love being the protector. They like being the one who comes alongside and really helps and cheers you up and makes you happy. And if he can't make you happy, he will stop trying to make you happy. He will stop eventually because it doesn't work. And why can't he make you happy? Either because your expectations are here and the reality's here, and you should shift your expectations to meet reality, or you're not being clear enough. You're doing kind of the baby talk thing, like I'm crying, and I'm being very non-specific about what I want, and he doesn't know what to do, and he tries, and then I get mad at him for not doing the thing that I told him that I didn't tell him to do. How reasonable does that sound? Would this ever work in a workplace? Would this ever work anywhere else? No. If you're watching this video, you're on YouTube, you're probably a competent individual, you probably have a job, you probably have decent friendships, right? You have to be specific in your communication. You have to communicate with a degree of pleasantness. Those rules apply, especially when it matters most. In a long-term partner who theoretically might be with you for 40, 50, 60, 80 years. Are you going to go without your needs being met because you haven't quickly identified them and communicated them? I hope not. I hope not. Try these. Don't say them. Don't tell anybody you're doing these. Just try them. Just try them. And see how it works. See what happens. See how the other person responds. Little hack, especially if you're working with guys, proximity and physical affection go a long way. Meaning if I'm trying to communicate to my husband, seriously what I would do is I would go and I would rub his head, give him a little head massage. Maybe put my arm on his knee and then look him in the eyes and say, hey babe, I'm really feeling a bit disconnected lately. Could we go on a date? Could we just go for a walk? You know, I just want to share life with you. I just want to spend time with you. I just miss you. How effective do you think that's going to be? Are there many husbands that would just not respond to that? Yeah, there are. There's a few. And you probably shouldn't marry those kinds of people. And hopefully, if you're communicating effectively and not just doing a lot of this pursuer stuff, you'll be able to identify who are the decent people that will love you and want to love you, they just don't know what to do, and who are the people who really don't care about you. Who, when you express hurt, when you express a need, they don't care, they don't notice, they don't respond. So pursuers, I'm on your team. Love you guys. You guys can be very frustrating, but I want your needs to be met. I want you to feel the security of being loved. So try these. 8 different things. Try them. And try them again, and try them again. Over the course of a week or 2 of consistently trying these things, I can almost guarantee you'll see some sort of positive result, and you might just undo some of this pattern, right? You might get the other person to respond in a way that's at least a little bit better. Thank you for joining me today. I'm The Thoughtful Husband. If you get some success stories, if you try some of this stuff and it's successful, please tell me a story, write it in the notes. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear disappointments if you do some of this stuff and it doesn't work. I'd love to hear that too, right? I'm learning too. I'm learning how to communicate. I'm learning how to be a better pursuer because I am a pursuer sometimes too. So for now, take care. Love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.